So there's a new storm chasing game in the works, and it's one of the best I think I've ever seen. It's called Severity, and today I'm going to be breaking down some of the leaks and a recent teaser trailer that was just released. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so here we are in DaVinci Resolve. I've got the teaser trailer, I've got all of the leaks, and I should mention I actually got to work on the teaser trailer, so I know where the Easter eggs are and things like that. So I'm going to be showing you everything that's in the trailer, and then we're going to look at some of the tornadoes that also got leaked. So firstly, the trailer. If you haven't seen it, you can go watch it, but we're going to play it through here, and then we're going to deep dive into it.
Trained spotters have reported an extremely large tornado with this supercell in northeastern Wakota, with early reports of houses demolished. The severity of the situation grows worse by the minute.
Alright, so there it was. Now let's start with the first opening frame. We've got this fade in, and one of the things that I really wanted to highlight in the trailer is the look of the textures. So that's the first thing that we get a view on, is these road textures. They are basically the best of the best that you can really get on the platform. And then we see this Jeep going by, and there is a bit of a funny story behind this Jeep. It's actually the one that JL Killen uses in real life to chase, so we thought that that would be a great Easter egg to drop in there, and it probably will be a vehicle that is accessible in the main game. We also see this fence line, we see some shadows of the trees, but this top-down angle is really there to kind of showcase these textures. So then we go into this quick sequence. Really wanting to have this because we want this sort of really fast-paced motion, this action sequence, and we get a glimpse of this farm that was built for the trailer. It is a pretty cool set. I wish I used it a little bit more in this trailer, but we do get a bit of a glimpse of the silo there. And then if we continue a little bit further, we see the car rushing by. Nothing too crazy in here. You can kind of see some of the new trees that were built for the game here. These are pretty fantastic. You got all the leaves, and you've got a pretty detailed trunk going up. So those are going to be really cool when tornadoes actually hit them, because obviously they'll break apart and get damaged. Next shot we have here is sort of this side-on view. Nothing really to reveal there. We kind of had that for the trailer to just generate a little bit of action, some movement. And then we scrub forward, and then we get this better view. You can see the farmstead there, and I'm not quite sure how many people picked up on this, but you can actually see, if I zoom in down here, you can see a structure right there behind the trees. It's part of that farmstead that was built for the trailer. You can see we've got the Jeep kind of driving off, and then the first really big Easter egg that was deliberately put here, we made sure that this was here, was this Wakota sign here, this route sign, and you can see 67. The number was not necessarily a reference to the meme. It's actually one of the routes that you can take in the game. It just happens to be 67. But that also reveals the shape of the state, and I will let you guys kind of figure out which state it's based on in real life. But that is the name of the state, and that is the route that this car is driving on. So we scrub ahead a little bit further, and then we get our first reveal of the tornado. Now, we're going to be getting into these tornadoes in a minute here, but this is our first reveal in the trailer. We've got this low-angle view attached to the side of the car, and you can see these really nice textures. This camera angle was deliberately trying to showcase the higher-level details of not only the trees, but the road textures. You can see the details of the fence and things like that. We also can see a bit of the rolling hills, which is going to be a big component in the map, and I think a lot of people are really going to enjoy it. I've seen the map, and this kind of gives a bit of a taste of what we're going to be seeing with this game. So we're scrubbing forward, and we're really getting that reveal of the tornado here. You can see the left edge as it's starting to wrap up there and get pretty intense. But our first proper reveal of the tornado happens in this shot. We get this wide angle. You can see these big power lines there stretching across the countryside. Again, these rolling hills are coming back and being showcased in this shot. We made sure that this was put here because we wanted to showcase, hey, this map isn't just a big flat area of terrain. It actually has some dynamic actions to it with hills, valleys. You've even got some rivers, but that wasn't showcased in the trailer. That's a bit of a leak for later whenever it gets published. So anyways, we're scrubbing ahead, and we can see that multi-vortex action. If I scrub back and forth and I'll zoom in on the area, you can see there it is. And the reason why I did this is I didn't really want to fully reveal the tornado. I wanted to kind of build up some tension and showcase little parts of the tornado, because before we got the left edge of the tornado, and now we can actually see the base of the tornado down here with all those subvorts spinning around, and you've got the Jeep kind of pulling over and stopping. So there we go, and we scrub ahead, and yeah, there it is. You can see we've got the subvortices, you've got the big power lines there, you got some trees, and it is a pretty cool shot, and it showcases that these are some next level tornadoes for this game. And it was definitely a lot of fun putting this together and building this trailer. And then finally we get a really close-up shot of this tornado as it's condensing to the ground, and this is just a pan up to reveal the name of the game. And then, of course, we get some of that really cool rotating motion with the clouds there. And it makes for a pretty cool scene, in my opinion. But that is the Severity teaser trailer. We had Tofu come on and help with this as well. And it was a pretty cool experience getting these tornadoes and this map all together to kind of create this visual teaser to kind of reveal what the game is all about. So it's obviously chasing storms, and we will probably see more of what this game is about in the future, but let's go ahead and hop over to some of the tornado leaks. We can finally see these fully condensed tornadoes now, and we can break them down. Okay, so we're looking at this one. This is a very short clip, and I'll just kind of scrub through it there. And obviously, this is pretty intense, considering that we really haven't seen any storm chasing video game experience create tornadoes of this high fidelity. So I am really excited for when we get to actually experience these tornadoes in a game format. Obviously, we got a little bit of that in the teaser trailer, especially when we were working on it, but it still really wasn't the full experience. It was just a tornado that didn't damage anything or do anything. Here we can actually see with this tornado a really cool subvortice type action happening at the base here. You can see those subvortexes wrapping around the base of this funnel, and obviously the funnel goes up into the wall cloud, and you can see that everything is kind of spinning. The lighting is very cool as well. And you can see that dust cloud, it's ripping up something that's out of frame there. But the biggest thing I think here is looking at these subvortices, and this is just something we really haven't seen. This is next level stuff. Okay, hopping over to the next leak. This is a bit of a simpler tornado, it looks like, but it is still very cool. You can see it's kind of throwing out all of this dust and stuff like that. But now we can kind of see the ground there. It's just a flat plane with the tornado rotating across it. But if you look in the background, you can see that wall cloud wrapping around too. Another very cool sign that we've got this whole system there for the tornadoes. Not only just the particle tornado itself, but you've got the particle wall cloud. And not a lot to talk about on this one, so we'll jump over to the next one. Similar to the first leak, just the lighting appears to be different. And we do have some larger subvorts down at the base of the tornado there that are wrapping around. A little bit of a helical action there. But it is cool to see these tornadoes in different lighting conditions, because particles are notoriously difficult to work with on the platform. So to get the lighting to look like this in different situations, like before we've got this sort of midday look, almost like an afternoon, or maybe 2 or 3 p.m. Now we have like a 5 or 7 p.m. look where it's a little bit darker out. You kind of got this orange glow from the sunset, and it shows really well in this. Again, we see the clouds rotating around the tornado there at the top of the tornado, and we'll go over to this next one. Now, this is pretty cool. You can see that this is a bit of a wedge tornado. The lighting is very green. It almost looks like it's rain wrapped. And this is something that's definitely going to be really scary. Imagine you're getting these tornadoes and you're chasing these, and then all of a sudden this thing is right behind you chasing you down. This is pretty cool. Obviously, because it's a wedge tornado, we're really not seeing too many subvorts in this, but it is a very cool looking wedge tornado. Definitely something that you would see on a pretty intense storm chase day. So we're chugging through these pretty quick. This is another cool one. This is actually the one that I believe we may have used in the trailer. Obviously, they can all be tweaked and changed depending on the weather conditions and everything like that. They're designed to do that. But you can see we've got the funnel here and then a little bit of uncondensed at the base where the ground is. And you can see these subvorts just wrapping around, and that is so cool. They're less helical shaped and more vertically driven. Before we were looking at subvorts that, if I go over to this one, you can see that they were kind of wrapping around in a bit of a helical shape right there. They're at a pretty sharp angle. This one is very vertically driven, and you can see it's just wrapping around the base of the tornado there. Super cool. Look at that. That is pretty intense. Anyways, let's jump over to the next one here. We've got a pretty cool tornado. This is really awesome because now we're seeing this cone tornado with the ground. So we can see the ground interaction here. And you've got the subvorts just wrapping around the base of the funnel there. And this is actually the coolest tornado I've seen leaked thus far. Obviously, I've seen some of the internal tornadoes, which have been insane. Obviously, working on the trailer and then seeing the development of those tornadoes during the trailer process. But now we're actually seeing these tornadoes getting leaked, which are really amazing. And we've really never seen anything like this on the platform before. I've been saying it before, I'll say it again. And to have this in a video game is just mind-blowing. It really does look super cool. And look at that, it kind of does this sidewinder action right there. You can see it sort of wiggling at the mid-levels of the tornado. And that's very realistic. Tornadoes do that all the time, especially when they look like this. Gary is a great example of that. If you guys have seen the Gary tornado from 2025, absolutely intense tornado. I've actually had a couple friends that were actually chasing that tornado. All right, so lastly, we're going to take a look at a damage preview. So obviously, in a storm chasing game, you've got to have some form of damage occurring to objects because that's what tornadoes do. They destroy things. And we've got this house here. It's a single-story home, and you can see it being destroyed over time in this little preview here. And it starts with the roof being torn away a little bit, and then we get to the roof being pretty much completely gone. We can actually see some of the trusses inside the roof there. And then once the roof is gone, we've got part of the outer walls that are being destroyed, mostly the walls to the largest part of the building and the largest room in the building, and that does appear to be a living room and kitchen space. And then you see some of the more compact areas are pretty well intact there. Then as we progress through, we've got those being destroyed, and then we get down to the floorboards, the sill plates, and then obviously there's nothing left at the end there. But this is a great example that shows the level of detail that the game is going for in terms of this damage, this all-important part of a storm chasing game. And I really do think that this is a pretty interesting sign of what's to come for future structures in Severity. Anyways, this is pretty incredible. Just looking at these tornadoes, all of these tornadoes really, and then obviously the teaser trailer. Having worked on that was a pretty incredible experience. So I am really looking forward to what this game has to offer as it continues to progress. I've seen the map. I've seen these tornadoes. We're obviously now getting the tornadoes public. And I think the feedback has been super positive, at least the public reception of it. And I've obviously been pretty happy with these since I got to see them a couple months ago and during the development process. So with that, if you guys have enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and a comment, and I'll see you all next time, guys. Goodbye.